It's Baby and Mary, we know you have been waiting, so here's another podcast about movies. Burn after watching.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Burn After Watching podcast.
Hi.
Today we are talking about the international film feature nominees. We watched all of the one that we could actually find. So we're going to talk about Tree Film, The Teacher's Lounge,
Zone of Interest.
yes, and Society of the Snow.
Don't forget to subscribe. We are on
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, anywhere where you listen to podcasts, we are there.
Yes.
Subscribe, like, comment, join us. Just so you know, we might spoil or talk about, some big aspect of the film, just so we can actually discuss all the little things that we liked and didn't like about the film. There will be spoilers. Let's go with The Teacher's Lounge, which is the German entry in the international film competition. And this is the one we saw the most recently. I actually know nothing about the director, the actress, never heard the name of any.
Me neither.
So going full blind, and from the trailer, it's kind of giving this vibe of a mystery thriller, unraveling of a kind of maybe school situation.
And you kind of ask yourself, so is it the teacher that's bullying the kids? Is it the kids? It reminded me a little bit of Monster.
Yeah, that's true. Let's talk about the story a little bit. So we are following a teacher. There's basically a bunch of teachers that realized that money has been stolen from the teacher's lounge. And I think they believe it's the student. What I liked right away is that the film start, they're not trying to set you up with like, this is what normal life look like. First scene, money has been stolen. Who did it?
Mm-hmm. At the very beginning, basically she installs her the camera of her computer.
Yeah.
And she leaves money in her pocket, so the computer is recording, and she wants to find out whether or not someone is going to take the money, and she purposely leaves it filming.
Yeah, and she does
kind of finds out.
She does get someone stealing money from her own camera.
But no face.
No
right?
face. The movie take a different direction at that point. It kind of like totally changed the conversation about what the film is about a little bit. At first, it's all about who stole the money, and now it becomes also what is sufficient proof to like accuse someone. And then,
I like that.
Yeah,
that was really interesting.
Really fun. I think like the politics of like being right and like what is real, what is not real proof.
And it also involves one of her students, because it could be his mother who works at the school also. So it's all about the class judging the teacher and her going to court, but with her own students. So it's really interesting.
And like you said, it reminded me of Monster a lot, because this idea of like, this idea of proof is all based on your perspective.
Right.
You kind of see the perspective of the teacher, the perspective of some people that are accused, and the perspective of students, because the students have like a journal or like a newspaper that they publish in the school, and they start doing interrogation of teachers and trying to kind of dig about why did they act a certain way. And I thought that was like the best part of the film.
That was smart. I really didn't love the movie. I mean, it was...
Overall,
it was good, but I liked her in the role of the teacher. She was good, but it feels like it was a little bit long.
Yes.
And it got a little bit silly too at a certain point.
I think the big thing is that it hits a certain level, and to me it kind of paint itself into a corner where taking it one step further, where we're talking about like physical violence or anything like that, would feel like
thank
over.
God they didn't do that.
They didn't do that, but it would have felt over the top.
I agree.
So you can't go that way. And then going into like more of a investigation that you actually find out who did it would have been kind of like, I guess it's too much on the nose. Like it's not actually playing with this idea of like, it's all about perspective. It's all about opinion. So it kind of got to a place where it felt like the movie had nowhere to go.
I agree with you.
And it was just kind of going along.
The ending, a bit cliche for me.
Yeah.
Because she had given him an object and he gives it back, and
the
idea was good of the movie, but the ending was like, okay, well,
I felt like everything was there for it to go somewhere interesting, and it never did. Like I feel like Monster went somewhere more interesting.
I agree.
And actually, Monster
The
felt
subject matter was maybe more important.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it
Powerful?
was deeper.
It was deeper. Yeah.
And to me, this one, like we said, like it just feel like at some point it reached a point where it had nowhere to go, and it kind of just decided to finish things in a way that it's like left unsaid. You don't really know what actually happened. You kind of
You have no answers.
you get somewhat of an answer, but it's not a clear answer,
No.
right? It's more like this is what I guess the average person would just make a decision on. Like this is where, based on the proof, people would say, okay, well, let's just say it's that person because it seems like the easiest answer.
Yeah.
But it's not really a clear answer.
There's a few great shots,
Yeah.
specifically when she caught on her computer filming the sleeve, the
Yeah, yeah,
blouse that has like stars.
Yeah.
And she's full of the doubt as well because she's like, oh, could it be someone else that was wearing the same shirt that day? And then there's a specific scene where everybody going through a corridor is wearing that shirt.
That was cool.
That was cool.
I think the music was nice too.
yeah.
I feel like the music was super simple, but like they use it in a very good way.
Gosh, it was missing a little something.
Yes.
But I really liked the part with the children where they were
Yes.
like
The newspaper.
yeah, the court almost.
Yes.
Like I could imagine a teacher nowadays teaching in a class where the child have, phone recording photos and kind of judging the teacher. That was like scary because it was so real, felt so real.
And it was cool that like this idea that like anybody has a platform to make their own accusation in a way, can throw anything out there and it could be believed as true. And they get to a point where this newspaper is creating so much trouble because there's so much allegation that they have to remove it from the school. It's really doing a lot of interesting thing, but it feels like it doesn't cash in on all those themes that they're building up to.
Right.
The hard question: burn or save? It's a tough one.
It's really tough.
I gave it a 3 out of 5 personally.
Yeah, me too.
I think I'm gonna burn it. It's really on the line for me.
Me too.
It's a good film. It's worth seeing.
But I wouldn't rewatch it or
No.
Me too.
And I would say like of the 3 that I've seen,
It's my least favorite.
exactly.
Me too, yeah.
It's not like don't watch it, but it's not like you have to watch it.
I agree with you.
Wow.
Yeah. It's definitely my least favorite as well, and I'm gonna burn it. Yeah.
Okay.
The next one, Zone of Interest by Jonathan Glazer.
Yes.
We were so excited about that movie. And it's kind of weird to say that we were excited about it because it's a very difficult subject. Yeah, very difficult. But the point of view is so interesting.
This is something that, you point out, I think, earlier last year, where we were questioning, why do we still need to make war movie? Mm-hmm. This is something that I think is important to have film about. But once you have some great film already made, do you need to remake more and more on the same subject?
And then I was like, well, it has to bring something, different. And to me, the Zone of Interest really, really is so interesting. So it's about
Auschwitz in Poland.
Auschwitz.
This is about Nazi Germany. And really, like, what we're doing is that we're following the commandant of Auschwitz.
And his family, that their house is basically
literally
right beside
the
camp. But we never ever see an execution. We never see the camp, the inside. So we basically just hear.
Yeah.
So gunshots, trains during the night.
Screams.
We see a lot of
smoke.
And
But we never see above the wall. It's always filmed from outside the camp.
So it's their family. They have children, and it's him, his wife, and just their daily life. Him coming back from work.
Yep.
That's his work. And that's what makes it so terrifying. In Life is Beautiful or Schindler's List.
Every film,
the attention is on
showing the horror of the situation.
But
of war.
never having a face on the monster. You see the boots, you see the uniforms, but there's just so many people. But this feels so real because it's just a regular family who is the monster.
I think it's easy when you watch those other films to see the uniform and see not someone, but like a representation of the Nazi regime, and not really understand that the scary part is that those are just regular people doing a job. The more you put the uniform in like this veil of like the Nazi Hitler and all of that, it's like almost you dissociate the fact that this is a real person. So the approach here of saying, no, like we're only going to show the time where
family.
they are real people. They care. They have a garden. They have a dog. They have a pool. They talk about their flowers. They talk about their fruit. They have family over. They have friends over. They're just regular people. But you always have looming over their head, literally in the background of every scene of them in their everyday life, what human is able to do, and the facade in front of it of who they seem to be. But they're
the
just
little
ordinary
family. People.
Yeah, they're just a family.
Right.
That's what they seem to be.
Yeah.
But there's always in the background who they really are.
It's really interesting because we get to see a lot of meetings as well, where he goes. I can't remember where he goes, but he has a meeting with a lot of like important people, generals or whatever, and they're kind of planning how to kill more people.
The operation.
And it's so weird to assist to like the whole planning of, we need more trains. We need
like the logistic.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And you realize that a lot of them also are just following orders, you know?
But for them, it's really, they're going to work and they have a problem to solve. One of the other thing is that towards the end, there's basically a break in time and we jump from the 1940s all the way to current time. And we see people cleaning up.
Literally a concentration camp that they made a museum out of.
Yeah, so like
and
an
so we're seeing
historical
like
thing.
a cleaning team.
Cleaning.
And that's so
for like 5 minutes.
Confronting.
And then we come back to
him.
To the general in 1940s.
Vomiting and kind of, you could think he kind of is realizing what he's doing.
Yeah, it's almost as if like for a millisecond he was able to fully gain understanding about first the magnitude of what he was doing, but also the realization that he actually didn't get to anything. All of this was for nothing because they lost, and all of this was like the ideal that they were building towards never happened. So it's like those two things kind of hit, and I think it's an ending that is very abrupt, and I think a lot of people will have different response to it. Like it's very dividing.
I really loved it. And
it's very different.
Very different. It's genius. It's so brilliant. It's so powerful. There's a lot of artistic choices that were made through the movie that I loved. Like the red scene where the sound goes out and all the negative.
That's another interesting thing. So there's a lot of night all shot in negative.
Yeah, but it's the girl bringing food
to prisoners.
To help them, to feed them. And
I also love that the whole movie is not explained. So see, you caught on something on the first watch that I didn't, where they receive a package at the beginning of the film, and there's like a fur coat and like article of clothing, and in my head I just felt, like they're just getting something that they sent out to be cleaned and it's coming back.
I knew it was from Jewish people from the camp. And when she put that lipstick on her lips, I was not okay.
And she washed it first because she doesn't want to touch the lips. She puts some away.
And I was
then she uses it.
That lipstick belonged to another woman, and she knows that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because she's not talking, she's not explaining anything, but as a viewer I was like, oh my god, she knows, you know. And then there's like a lot of baby clothes that come in. It's just so powerful the way that it's showed, and because we know the story, you know, but we never saw that side of the story.
And also there's a very interesting kind of aspect where she's building the garden of this house, and at some point she's showing her mother the garden, and she's talking about, when we came here there was nothing here, and I put the fences up, and she's talking how the plant will grow to like hide the concrete wall of the actual camp. And it's like, for her it's almost like, this wall is so ugly, like I don't want to see it. Like visually it's like ugly, but like there's also this weird feeling of like this she want to feel okay about what's happening behind the wall,
Yep.
but she doesn't want to accept what's happening, so she just want to cover it up. And it feels like it's almost as if she doesn't realize that's what she's doing, but she just want to cover up.
She's in denial. She's in complete denial.
But
and
is
that's
she?
why
Because she called herself the queen of Auschwitz.
I know, but I think it's just a coping mechanism.
Yeah. Oh, and the river scene.
Oh boy.
Where the dad takes his sons to go swim.
Yeah.
And he's fishing, and at some point he kind of reaches out in the water because he's stepping on something, and he has like the jaw.
Yeah, a skull.
The bottom jaw. Bones. And then the river gets all dusty.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because
and he's like, okay, boys, get out of the river.
Yeah, because they're emptying kind of
the bones. And
there's a lot of those. Obviously, like I think most war film have those like very visceral moments, but this is such a different way to approaching the subject. I think it's an achievement just and I read about it a little bit. Jonathan Glazer worked for 10 years. He actually found boots from the time, he found machine from the time, all the original object, machine, guns, and he recorded himself all the gun firing, all the boot from the time hitting the pavement, all the machine running. He recorded everything and built this entire bank of like sounds for the film, and it's so important to the film. And also the film starts with a 5-minute black screen of just music. Wow.
Another moment that really hit me was when the two boys are taking a swim in the pool, and they're like, oh my god, it's so hot out. And and I could just imagine like how people could feel in the camp, like how hot they must have been. Same thing after when it's cold and it's winter and the boys are playing around the pool and the pool is complete ice.
Yeah.
And you could just imagine how it must have been in those camps. Man.
That's what this film does very well, right? It shows you what ordinary life outside is, but it put it right in front of you about they don't give you a choice to think about what it's like across the wall, even though they won't show you. Another really cool thing is that he wanted everybody to feel very comfortable in the space. So what he did is that he set up something like 10 cameras in every room in the house, and they were all filming at the same time at all time. So the actor didn't have to redo the take for a different angle.
Okay.
And because the movie is all about perspective, right? It's a big theme of the film. It's very interesting what he does because he has so many camera, because he had camera everywhere, right? So
so many perspectives.
Yeah, so you'll see that he switched perspective from one side to the other the entire time. And what's really interesting is that he often is going to show you a perspective where this is what the family see, and it's basically you can't see the camp. It's always focused on the garden, the house, all the good stuff. But then right away, it's going to switch and then show you what we are able to see, and then we see the camp right in the background. Yeah. And it's like this. The duality of those two perspectives, that two people can look at the same situation, and depending on like the way you want to look at it, everything can have a totally different definition. It's very. I feel like the theme of this film is baked in everything: the music, the direction, the shot. He worked on this for 10 years, so obviously he didn't leave anything up to kind of chance.
It's weird to like it, but it's so important, so well made. I would definitely save that movie. I would rewatch it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it a 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more I think of it, the more this movie is so important.
So obviously,
and I would rewatch it.
Oh, me too. For me, it's definitely a save. I agree with you. Yeah. It's not a comfortable movie to watch, but it's a great movie to watch regardless.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that he's nominated for not only Best International Film, which is well deserved, but Best Director. Yeah. Thank God, because like this is a movie that you can't make without that director. Like it's all about the vision.
The actors too. You know, we mentioned Sandra Hüller.
And she didn't want to do the film at first because she was like, I will not play a Nazi. I was like, I refuse. And actually the dog in the film, it's her dog.
Really?
It's her dog, like in real life.
And do you know what made her accept?
She read the script. For me, it's a 4 out of 5. I probably would bump it up to a 4.5 once I rewatch it.
Yeah.
But there's just so much thing in there. I feel like every time you watch it, you know, catch something new and nuance that you haven't seen before. Okay, last one.
Society of the Snow, which you didn't want to watch.
For me, a Netflix film, it's already like, there's something...
You say that though, but you love the killer.
Yeah, but that's Fincher. Like Fincher can do a YouTube film and I'll be like, I'm in. Sometimes I do this though, Dan watched the film, our friend Dan.
Hey, Dan.
And he didn't like it at all. At all.
This movie?
This film. Society
really?
of the Snow.
Okay.
Hated it. So I was like, well, that's it. It's probably bad. I just saw one review in my head. I was like, Netflix film. One person I know didn't like it. That's it. But then I heard other people. Then I heard other people, and then I was like, you know what? I'll give it a chance.
I had seen the original movie.
Me too.
So
On TV.
It's a story that I find really interesting, and I was like, okay, let's give it a try, because I felt it was nice to have an updated version. I could say,
with like actual Spanish and like Hispanic actor instead of the white version.
And I love that movie.
It was good.
Really good.
They did a very good job. If you don't know the story, basically a soccer team from Argentina is flying to Chile. They're going over the mountains, and the plane crashes in the middle of the mountains, and there's about, I think, like 13, 14 survivor. No, maybe a little bit more, like 20 survivor. But they are in the middle of nowhere. This happened. This is a true story that happened in the 70s. Basically, they have to survive.
They're more than that. I think they're like 30 something, and at the end they're like 18.
Really, that much?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh yeah. And most of them are still alive today. They're like 70 something, because they were in their 20s when that happened. And so the way the plane crashes is there's kind of no way to see them. We follow them through their journey of 63 days before they get found.
And the plane was split in two when it crashed, and they don't know where the tail
other part is.
It seems like further away. So there's that aspect where they want to find the other aft to see if there's survivor there. Radio, food, and it's just a survival film, really.
But it's a hell of a survival.
And it's a true story, so like you can really
feel for them.
This movie did a lot of a better job. I feel like the old film really, really kind of put the emphasis on the fact that they end up starting to eating each other. I feel like this was like the big, like, oh my God, look at this, is crazy.
Yeah.
I think this film, obviously it touched on that, and it's a big part, and it's more about the conversation about the ethic. Is it okay to do that? Also, I feel like it explore a lot of the other aspect of the survival.
Yes, I agree. And you really like feel so sad for them when they have to make that choice. It's so like heartbreaking, because they're basically eating people they know. And then at a certain point in the movie, there's a few of them that are, injured or might die. And they're just like, hey, like, eat me if I die, and because
I give you
you're gonna survive. And that was like, oh my God, when there's the snow that gets into the plane,
the avalanche.
Oh my God, because they're stuck in the plane for 3 or 4 days. And that moment is really important as well, because when they start doing like eating each other, it's not like right in your face, it's like this one person who goes behind the plane and gives like a little piece of meat. It's not like you're not going to see someone eat someone else's arm, like, and then when that avalanche happened, they have to do it, but then they're stuck all together in the plane. So it's like, you can't really hide now. So it's like,
and it's 2 avalanche, right? There's one,
oh my God,
and then some people are able to get out, and the second one come in,
and I was like, can they leave them alone? And it's really weird, because the enemy here is Mother Nature. The snow, the cold.
That avalanche was the worst part. That was the scariest part to me. And the movie is 2 hours and a half long, but it used its time very well. I think it's focusing a lot on the relationship, the discussion, and like understanding like
what can we do here.
And like the debate, and like the struggle of making a decision, like we need to start eating someone that has died to survive ourselves, and the attempt that they make to like, okay, I think if I climb up this mountain, maybe I'll be able to find something, and they have no idea where they are. They don't have radio, no phone, obviously it's in the 70s.
And it's really interesting as well, when there's a group, there's always 1 or 2 people that are natural leaders, and decisions that are made to go find the tail of the plane makes them find a sort of tissue that is
like a fabric,
like a fabric that is isolated, so they can use it as
like waterproof,
a sleeping bag to sleep in the mountain to climb further. Because spoiler alert, they were never found staying at that spot.
Yeah.
There are 3 guys who climbed the mountain, stumbled upon a man who was riding his horse.
Yep.
And that's how they
got found.
tell people and they get
Yeah.
found. But
They would have never
oh my
made
God.
it if they didn't actually try. They could also listen to the radio at some point.
Yeah, and they heard.
They could
Oh
hear
my God.
the news report
Yeah.
saying that first that they had people trying to find them. So like that was at first encouraging. They were
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna be fine. And then a radio report that said that the searchers were stopped because it'd been 20 days and they just basically said there's no way we're gonna find them.
Imagine hearing that and you're stuck there. And so they were out there for 63 days, I think. 62,
Yeah, something like that.
63 days.
It is nominated for best makeup. Very good job.
job.
I think, you know,
Overall, like,
most of the fact, because they lose a lot of weight obviously over 60 days, and they had to like utilize makeup to like make them look really skinny, and I think it's a pretty good job overall.
Yeah.
And
like frostbites and
yeah.
their nose and even different injuries.
one thing I don't understand is that they had a lighter, right? Because they were smoking cigarettes at some point.
Yeah, they smoked a lot of cigarettes. Yeah.
Why don't they start a fire?
They had nothing to burn. What do you want them to burn?
Like anything.
But they had
Clothes?
Well, they had to keep themselves
But I'm the clothes
warm.
of the people that die.
But it wouldn't have,
Luggage?
like, there's no fire, so it wouldn't have lasted.
But they didn't even try it. I feel like the first thing I would do is that.
Really?
Well, yeah, like you have clothes, you have like they had luggages.
But it wouldn't last, though.
Yeah, but like
it would
at the
burn
beginning,
in 2 seconds.
but like the whole point is just make black smoke because you would have been a lot more findable. So like Society of Snow is a great film. It's a lot better than you would expect, I think. Like I think people could say like, yeah, it's probably good.
Well, it's a true
actually
story.
very good.
It's very good.
And even though it's long, I didn't feel the length.
Me neither.
I felt
bad to eat a snack
Yeah.
while
During
watching
with the
that
film.
movie. Gosh,
But I remember we put it on kind of late, and I was like, well, you know, we're probably not going to finish it. We can finish it tomorrow.
what a bad attitude.
But it was so thrilling
I know.
that we stayed up
Yeah.
for like the 3 hours.
I'm really happy for them that they've been nominated because it's a great movie.
If Zone of Interest was not here this year, I think this would be the winner.
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
Well, we didn't see El Capitan though.
and Perfect Days?
Yeah.
Perfect Days, though, I have a feeling. I mean, I really think Zone of Interest is like it's the only film that is also nominated for Best Film
Yeah.
and Best Director.
Exactly.
To be in Best Film and Best International Film, but not to win Best International would be weird.
Zone of Interest is in Best Film, but not Best Director.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
It
wow.
took the spot of Greta Gerwig, I guess.
Well, I would definitely save Society of the Snow.
Big save.
And I would give it a 4 out
Me
of
too,
5.
4.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. I don't know if I would rewatch it often because
It's long.
It's long and it's not
Good.
It's not easy, you know.
Zone of Interest is not easy, but I want to rewatch it because it's more. I guess this is more. Society of the Snow is more traditional filmmaking, and I think that if you really watch a lot of film, having something that is so different, like Zone of Interest, is attracting because it's like, ooh, something I don't see very often.
Yeah. So if you had a plane crash, would you eat my body to stay alive?
I mean,
That's a tough
my
question.
is it my only choice?
Yeah.
Like we are the only 2 people in the plane, and the pilot is like gone. So it's me by myself, and you're dead.
Yeah.
Would you care? Like right now? Would you say
I
yes?
would, of course, I would.
I'll
say
say yes too.
Of course.
I would probably wait the longest
Yes, me
potential
too.
time.
Me too. Like until I fucking pass out, and I would
Well,
start
no.
with your leg.
If you start passing out, then it's too late.
I would start with your leg just to have your torso and your head in.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Oh my god! It's really like it
I
must
would.
be so hard.
It's probably around that 20
But
days.
imagine, like we're saying this now, and we're like, okay, yeah, whatever. But imagine when you have to actually do it,
But I think you need to like.
cover up your face.
Yeah,
with a
yeah, yeah.
little
You have to
scarf.
like just look at it for what it is, like meat.
meat. Yeah. Oh,
But
boy.
I mean, yeah, I'd say like I would probably go at least 2 weeks before actually
Yeah.
considering it.
But it must have been so hard as well because there were a few dead bodies, and it was at a certain point we hear one guy say, "Oh yeah, go ahead and eat like my aunt or my cousin or whatever."
Yeah. So let's rank them.
Yeah.
Zone of Interest, Society of the Snow, Teacher's Lounge.
That's easy.
Easy. Do you think that Zone of Interest is for sure winning, or do you think there's a chance even 1% chance that Society of the Snow, Perfect Days, another one win at the Oscar?
I think Zone of Interest is going to win because it's just so important, so different.
Is there a chance?
But I think there is a chance for Society of the Snow.
I think it's 0% chance. 0%. Like the lesser.
I mean, I hope Zone of Interest wins. Like,
I think it's well deserved.
Yeah.
I think it would be the first time Jonathan Glazer win, maybe? He did Under the Skin. You haven't seen that?
No.
It's all this film, I've seen 3 of them, are very much like that.
We're going to watch it.
Bert is like Nicole Kidman husband die, and then few years later, she kind of get over it and she meet a new man. She's about to get married, and then a 12-year-old kid show up. And he's like, "I'm Sean. I'm your husband."
Oh boy.
And that's it. Like, or it's like he knows everything about their life.
Oh boy.
And now she was about to get married, but now she's like, no, I'm sure it's him. But it's also,
that's really weird.
Everybody know it's not like she's hiding it. Everybody knows about it. And then everybody like do an interview and try to like prove that it's not him. It's like, no, like he knows everything.
Wow, that is so weird.
And then like she gets into this weird space where, should I wait for him to be 18 and then remarry my old husband? Or should I like, am I going crazy? And it's just so weird.
Wow. Under the Skin, what is it?
Under the Skin is basically Scarlett Johansson is a alien. She comes to Earth to capture men, and she looked like Scarlett Johansson. She seduced men, bring them back to her house, and then she seduced them and like bring them into a machine that like put them into like just destroy them so she can feed like a mother alien with the blood. The scene of her picking up men, what they did is that they rented a car in London, I think. They put camera in the car, and Scarlett Johansson, she kind of she has like, obviously she doesn't look exactly like her, pick up and talk to real men that didn't know they were in a film.
Okay.
And try to pick them up and bring them in the car.
So it looks so real.
It's like real reaction of, she's like, I need direction for this. And then she have a conversation with them, and some of them get in the car. And then it becomes a bit about, it's a little bit like Poor Things, where she's a woman, but that it only learn what a human is supposed to be able to accomplish the mission of like feeding the aliens.
Yeah. Okay.
But then she started learning about emotion, about love, about sex, about like the evil within man and all of that. And she learned like what it's like to be a woman on Earth.
And I see it's from 2013, so more than 10 years ago.
That was the film he did before Zone of Interest. They took 10 years in between.
Wow. Thank you so much, you guys, for listening to us and watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe.
Let us know in the comments which movie you like the most. Have you seen some of the other one, Il Capitano or Perfect Days? Which one is your favorite? Which one you wanted to win? Thank you so much for joining. Subscribe, podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere.
Thank you so much.
And check out all the new content on the channel. I've been doing videos.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.